Imagine designing and building an all-new racing car in 8 months and then rocking up in surprise at a new event to finish first and second against the very people that changed the rules. This is a short view back to the past on the greatest Mercedes Grand Prix car you've probably never heard of.
Gentlemen, a short view back to the past.
Before the Second World War, Mercedes-Benz and Auto Union dominated Grand Prix racing. The Italian marques, Alfa Romeo and Maserati, had tended to be the winners prior to that, and they got fed up with being beaten. What the Italian marques did do was go into Voiturette racing, which is very roughly akin to today's Formula 2. There they dominated, while Mercedes and Auto Union won almost everything in Grand Prix racing. The Tripoli Grand Prix was one of the major races prior to the Second World War and was normally for Grand Prix cars, which by 1938-39 was for 3-litre supercharged machines. Just 8 months before the 1939 Tripoli race, however, there was an announcement. The rules for the following race would be run to 1.5-litre supercharged cars, and that is Voiturette formula. The thinking really was that this would allow the Italian cars to rock up and win. Mercedes and Auto Union didn't have cars that were eligible for that formula, and there would be probably an Alfa Romeo win. Mercedes didn't see things that way though, and they went in complete secrecy to develop 2 brand new cars, the W165. The W165 was a V8 supercharged engine car based very much on the W154 3-litre supercharged Grand Prix car, but it was almost entirely new. There was so little time that they didn't have a chance to test the cars. Individual elements were tested, but the second car was finished en route to Tripoli. Quite what the Italian teams thought when the Mercedes rolled off the boat can only be imagined. Quite how the mechanics could possibly have done that with the boat going up and down is beggars belief really. Rudolf Uhlenhaut, the man behind the cars, said that it was only really possible because he'd based so much of the design on what he knew from the W154. It was almost a baby Grand Prix car. Hermann Lang and Rudolf Caracciola were given the task of driving the new cars. Mercedes' strategy was that Lang would have the higher ratio car for top speed and would have to make a pit stop, while Caracciola would have a car set up for acceleration and go through non-stop. Inevitably, the two disagreed and felt that the other one had the advantage. At that time, they were vying for supremacy within the team, and Lang was beginning to get the upper hand over Caracciola, who had previously been Mercedes' star driver. The 8-mile circuit was extremely fast, and Luigi Villarese's streamlined Maserati actually beat both Mercedes to pole position. There's some footage of this at the start. It's leaking oil almost immediately, and he's soon out of the running. Lang took the lead from the start and disappeared into the distance. Caracciola initially got sucked into a fight with the new Alfa Romeo 158. This car would go on to be an incredibly successful one for Alfa Romeo, both before and after the Second World War. In fact, Giuseppe Farina, who was in that race fighting Caracciola, would go on to win the inaugural World Drivers' Championship in 1950. In the end though, most of the Italian cars wilted in the blistering heat. Predictably, the two Mercedes continued metronomically, Lang finishing first from Caracciola. There were only 12 finishers, but the two Mercs were among them. It was a dominant victory too. Lang won by 3.5 minutes from Caracciola, who was probably at this stage past his considerable powers, and he was 4 minutes ahead of the next car, which was one of the Alfa Romeos. So of the field of 30 cars, 28 of which were Italian, they were completely blown away by the two Mercs. After the Second World War, there was a plan to get one of the Mercedes to the Indianapolis 500, but that never happened, which means that the W165s only appeared in their one race, and they finished first and second. It has to be one of the most remarkable events in motorsport history, a fantastic response to a rule change designed specifically to stop Mercedes winning, and the Italians would have to wait until after the Second World War before they could once again dominate Grand Prix racing. Remember, if you like this video, please click the like button, please subscribe, and do let us know what you'd like to hear on the next episode of A Short View Back to the Past.